So wait a second. Okay, I've started the recording. Okay, now we have this very important topic for today, and if you give me a minute, I wanna transfer a picture from a book actually to make you explain things for today's lecture. So I'm sending these pictures in this group of WhatsApp, and I'm kind of stopping it for a second. You can save these pictures for today's lecture. It is like very important, and let me save it on my laptop too from here. Okay. We will be studying from these pictures. Do we have any participants? I just heard a beep. Okay. So welcome students. Welcome all of you. Okay. Okay. Very well. Now let me share the screen back again with you. So, okay. So I'm really very sorry for I'm late today. I told you 7:30, but we're a bit of late because I was just kind of searching those images from a book for you. Now, today's lecture is very important. We are taking our neurophysiology class from where we left on Tuesday, and I was teaching you this dorsal column completely. Okay, so our spinothalamic tract is left. So the pathway that goes is the same for both of them. So there is not too much difference. So let's go back to our BRS book. Where is BRS book? Okay. So we will be studying from the BRS and then from the first aid. Okay, so for the neurophysiology, we will be touching first aid again and again because there are not so good pictures in here. Okay, and are we recording our lecture? Yes, we are. Okay, well and good. So let's begin our lecture. And we left, if you remember, we have done these what are the first order neurons, second order neurons, third and fourth order neurons, and I explained you the pathway via the dorsal thalamic tract. Okay, and then before that we studied the action potential for the nerve fiber too. So people who are not in the people who are not checking in these recorded lectures, please do go and listen the previous lectures to understand your neurophysiology. Okay, let's begin our class. So I will just quickly read this because we have already studied the dorsal column system. Okay, and our topic of today is anterolateral system. Okay, but I will quickly read this for the students who are like joining today and they were not present in the Tuesday class. So, somatosensory system includes the sensation of touch, movement, temperature, and pain. So you should know that we are dealing with the sensory, okay, and somato means skin. So we are dealing with the skin sensations, okay. So the skin sensations are touch, movements, and temperature and pain. Okay, so we are dealing with these things in this dorsal and anterolateral system. We have two tracts, one is an ascending tract and one is a descending tract. Okay, so the ascending tracts are sensory. So make these points clear. The ascending ones are always sensory and the descending ones are motor. So because we are studying the somatosensory system, I will be teaching you ascending now. Okay, in BRS we have sensory system, and like when it will be finished, then we will go to the motor system. Okay, so make these things clear. Now dorsal column system processes sensations of fine touch, as I told you, pressure, 2-point discrimination, vibration, and proprioception. So nothing new, I have told you all of them. Also, I told you that we deal with this pain and temperature uh, via some fibers. Okay, I told you the types of all those neurons of these fibers, like class 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the A fibers, the B fibers, the C fibers. Then we have the divisions of A fibers into 4. Okay, if you remember, we have this alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. Okay, so this fine touch is dealt by the fiber, which is wider in diameter and have a very fast conduction. Okay, so we are dealing with the A fibers when we are talking about fine touch. But then we have another touch which is called light touch, or I can say crude touch. Okay, so when I talk about the light touch and the crude touch, we are dealing with the fibers that are slow. Okay, so I am talking about C fibers here. So if anyone have missed that class of the fibers types, please go to the previous recorded lectures in your drive and do listen it. Okay, that is your very important topics of exams. So now you see they consist of group 2 fibers. Okay, so we have in our A alpha we have 1 and 2. There was a further division in A alpha. So our group 2 fibers from the A alpha, okay, are dealing with this dorsal column system. Okay, now the primary afferent neurons have now this is important, and I have taught you, so we'll go back to our first day too. So primary afferent neurons have cell bodies in the dorsal root ganglion. You remember that picture which I showed you from the from your neurophysiology notes, this picture. Okay, and I told you to see only this part of, because the other one was somatic nervous system. So this is the autonomic nervous system part. Okay, and this is your sensory root ganglion, or we can say dorsal root ganglion. Okay, so the nerve fibers that are coming from, say for example, the effector organ, from there to the sensory root ganglion, and then reaching this dorsal column of your spinal cord. This is your anterior horn, and this is your posterior horn, or we can call posterior horn the dorsal horn. Okay, so this is your posterior horn, and from the organ to your posterior horn, this neuron was the first order neuron. Okay, that's the thing that you remember, and I've told you. So if we go back to our BRS book, the afferent neurons, again, the afferent ones are the ones that are bringing the signals from your organs to your central nervous system. Okay, they are bringing the stimulus, so they are afferent with an A. Okay, the afferent neurons have their cell bodies in the dorsal root, just I showed you. Okay, dorsal root. Their axons ascend ipsilaterally. Ipsilaterally means one side, not like on both sides of the spinal cord, not like on both sides, but only at one side. So they come from one side, okay, ipsilaterally, to the nucleus gracilis and the nucleus cutaneous. Now I'll take you to this. First of all, I'll show you here, okay. So you see we have this area. Let me make it from some other color like blue. Okay, now you see this area. This is your posterior commissure of spinal cord, okay, and then I subdivided this area into two parts. Now this part is called nucleus cutaneous, okay. You can also call it fasciculus cutaneous, okay. And then this region is called nucleus gracilis, and you can also call it fasciculus gracilis, okay. So this nucleus gracilis deals with your lower limb. So you can remember G with leg. Leg has a G and gracilis has a G, so you can remember it by that, that the lower limb part deals with this nucleus gracilis, and it has the nerve endings to the sacral plexus and the lumbar plexus. The sacral plexus and the lumbar plexus give your signals to this region, okay, of your spinal segments, your spinal segments of your lumbar and your sacral, okay. The nerves are 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 giving signals to this, the nerves that are coming from your lower limb, and same from your upper limb. The nerves that are coming from your upper limb have this nucleus cutaneous in your thoracic and cervical segments. Now, these nucleuses are not present throughout your spinal cord. Remember that. Like, you will not find nucleus cutaneous in your lumbar segments or in your sacral segments. You will find this nucleus cutaneous in your thoracic and cervical segments. Make it clear. You will find nucleus gracilis in your lumbar and in your sacral segments. So make this point also clear, okay. So these are two nucleuses we are dealing with right now. So now I'll take you to this first aid picture. Now you see this this dark blue color thing is your sacral. They have written it sacral and lumbar for you. This is nucleus gracilis, okay. In your first aid, they have used the word fasciculus gracilis, so you have to remember, you also call it fasciculus gracilis, okay. And then this light blue thing has is present in your cervical and thoracic segments of spinal cord, and this is called fasciculus cutaneous or nucleus cutaneous, and it's written that this deals with the lower body legs and this deals with the upper body arms. So people, first aid book is very high yield, okay. So correlate your BRS physiology neuro chapter with your first aid book along, okay. And the functions are also written here, so you can see pressure, vibration, fine touch, and proprioception, okay. So now what is happening is, let's say for example, this is your upper limb and this is your arm. So the nerves that are arising from here, the sensory nerves, okay, not the motor ones, the sensory nerves are coming from here to this nucleus cutaneous, okay. So and but they also do touch at this this ganglion level. So they will from here, then they will be redirected to here, okay. So when they reach here, these nerves are called first order neuron. Point number one should be clear. These are first order neuron, okay. Then from here they have to go to this area, okay. Let me draw this with another color. So the neuroanatomy and the neurophysiology is a bit tricky, and the pathways are very difficult. So understand them now. So this blue one, these blue lines which I've drawn from the organs to these nucleuses, because this is upper limb, so I took it to nucleus cutaneous. If I am drawing the lower limb here, if I'm drawing the lower limb here, I will take these fibers to nucleus gracilis, okay. and again also to the ganglion, and back again to this nucleus gracilis. So make these points clear. Now I am taking this nerve fiber, these nerve fibers from nucleus gracilis or nucleus cutaneous to this opposite side of your spinal cord, the white matter. Okay, from the white matter we are traveling to the white matter. Okay, and now here the opposite side of the white matter, this neuron which is decussating is second order neuron. So your second order neuron decussates. Okay, your second order neuron decussates. Let me show you in your first aid once again. So you see this, the second order neuron decussates. Okay, make this point really clear. Now the level of decussation is different in different tracts. For example, if you're talking about the dorsal column, it decussates in the medulla oblongata. Okay, when I'm talking about the spinothalamic tract, the one that deals with the pain and temperature, the crude touch and the pressure, that decussates in the spinal cord of the anterior white commissure, that just like I'm telling you right now. So the level of decussation is different. When it's decussating in the medulla oblongata, it's decussating in the reticular formation of the medulla oblongata. Okay, so make these things clear. Now, if I take you back to this picture, okay, now this was our previous diagram. Okay, so now from here, now I'm taking another color. Okay, so just hold on. We will go to those pictures which I shared you in the group, WhatsApp group. So now from here, they will go to the upper spinal segments. Okay, say for example, this is the thoracic spinal segment. So we are talking about the nearer one. They will go to the cervical. Okay, and then from the cervical, it will enter into the medulla oblongata. And from the medulla oblongata, it will go wide up to the pons level. And then from the pons, it will reach to the midbrain. And then from the midbrain, they will enter into your brain. Okay, they will enter into your brain. And where they have to reach, they have to reach, say for example, I'm drawing this portion now. This is your brain. Okay, this is your brain, this is your midbrain, then your pons, and then your medulla oblongata, and this is your cerebellum. Okay, so now they were from your medulla oblongata, pons, midbrain, they reach your brain, and in your brain there are two thalamides. There are two thalamides, or I can call them thalamus. Okay, so they will reach this thalamus. Now thalamus is itself a huge thing. It is not like a small circular sphere like body. It has lots of nucleuses. It has 5, 6 nucleuses. Okay, so it will reach to this thalamus, a particular nucleus that is dealing with that tract. All tracts go to separate nucleuses. For example, if you talk about the vision tract, okay, the vision tract, it will go to your geniculate nucleus. Okay, maybe anterior geniculate nucleus. And then if you talk about your olfaction, it will go to another geniculate nucleus. Okay, similarly, if you talk about this dorsal column, it will go to your ventral posterolateral nucleus of your thalamus. Okay, so I will show you that chart from first aid too. But for now, just hold on to that nucleus thought of thalamus and focus on your nerve fiber that was going all the way from this white commissure of your thoracic segment to cervical segment, then to medulla oblongata, then to pons, then to midbrain, and then to your brain, high up to the thalamus. From the thalamus, it will go to the cerebral cortex. Okay, and in the cerebral cortex, it will go to the post central gyrus. region. Okay, we have two regions. Now, the people who are taking lectures with me from the beginning, they know what is a post-central and what is a pre-central gyrus. But the people who are new, this is a central sulcus, okay, and we have one part here and one part here. So one is a pre and one is a post. Okay, so you have to understand that the post one deals with the sensory functions, okay, and the pre one deals with the motor functions. So because we are talking about sensory system, I will be talking about post central gyrus all the time. Okay, so keep this thing clear. So it will go to the post central gyrus. Now this yellow and blue was the first order neuron, which was from the effector organ to the specific nucleuses of your spinal segments. Then from ipsilateral side of your spinal segment, a neuron is taking your stimuluses to the opposite side of your spinal segment, and we use the word contralaterally to it, okay, or I can say that this neuron is a decussating neuron, that is, it's crossing from the midline, okay, and this is called a second order neuron. And then this neuron is taking all the way signals up to your thalamus. So this maroon color neuron which I've drawn is your third order neuron, okay? And then you have this neuron from orange color that is taking your stimulus from thalamus to the postcentral gyrus sensory one, okay? This is the fourth order neuron. So you have four order neurons. This was kind of a summary from your previous lecture too, quick summary. Okay, and now I will take you to, I'm clearing this drawing, okay? So let's go back to your BRS book. Now you understand what they have written here. Let's read the course again. Primary Aphid neurons have cell bodies in the dorsal root, okay? The spinal cord, oh, I have such a bad drawing. The spinal cord segment, okay, and this is your butterfly shaped gray matter, and then you have this chain of ganglions, okay. So this is the dorsal root ganglion, so it reaches here and then from here to this dorsal horn or posterior horn, okay. Then it reaches, ascend, like move forward ipsilaterally to the nucleus is present here, okay. It can be nucleus gracilis or it can be nucleus cutaneous, so G or C, anywhere, okay, of the medulla. So at which level they are talking? At the level of medulla, it will go up, okay. From the medulla, the second order neuron crossed the midline. So now I told you that in dorsal column system, the decussation takes place at the level of medulla oblongata. So this is a different point from other pathways, okay. So remember this point. Decussation takes place at the medulla oblongata level, okay. So the second order neuron will not cross in this, if this is a thoracic spinal segment, it will not cross at this level, okay. It will cross, this neuron will go to the cervical, okay. Say for example, this is your thoracic segment and this is your cervical segment and this is your medulla oblongata segment. So from this region, it will go to this region first. This is again your first order neuron, okay. And then when it reaches to your medulla oblongata segment of spinal cord, the second order neuron will decussate this and it will move to the opposite side. So make this thing clear. If anyone is having any problem, I can draw this again on a whiteboard, okay. Make these things clear. Now from the medulla, the second order neuron crossed the midline and ascends to the contralateral thalamus. So now you see contralateral thalamus. We started our journey from this side, but when we reach up to the brain, we are reaching to this side of the thalamus. We are not reaching to this side. So we are here now and we started it from here. So let's say if this is right and this is left, from the right we are going to the left. So we are going contralaterally, okay, where they synapse on third order neurons. So the third order neurons are present here, okay. third order neurons ascend. Now from here, the third order neurons will ascend to here, to the somatosensory cortex, where it is synapse and the fourth order neuron. So now, if you kind of understand this pathway, let's see it in your first aid chart once again. So dorsal column tracts, the functions are written here, okay? Pressure, vibration, fine touch, and proprioception. Remember, we are talking about fine touch. We are dealing with A alpha 2, okay? A alpha 2. And first order neurons, again, the same thing is written. It from the sensory nerve endings, let's say from the upper limb or from the lower limb, okay, it bypasses pseudounipolar cell, forget that, in dorsal root ganglion, the same dorsal root ganglion I was talking about, okay, the same dorsal root ganglion I was talking about. Then it enters the spinal cord, okay, it enters the spinal cord, ascends laterally in dorsal column. So from the same side, okay, and then at this particular level in the dorsal column, it will make a synapse, okay. Now the synapse will be these nucleuses, but in the medulla, okay, and it will go from here, from this thoracic segment to the cervical segment, and then to the medulla oblongata segment. In the medulla oblongata segment, it will go to the other side of the spinal cord, so decussates in the medulla and then ascend contralaterally as the medial lemniscus. Okay, so you will not understand the medial lemniscus over here, but you kind of make your, because that's like, you know, anatomy. So just make this concept that in the medulla oblongata segment of your spinal cord, from the one side, the second order neuron take the signals to the opposite side, and then those signals will move high up to your contralateral thalamus, okay? If this is your right side, this thalamus is of your left side, contralateral thalamus. And then this VPL is basically your ventro-posterolateral nucleus, okay? So just hold on to this thought, I will take you to that chart. And then from there, it reaches to the sensory cortex. Like, obviously, which part? Post central gyrus, okay? Post central gyrus. So now you understand this whole story. So you can study it from BRS, you can study it from your first aid, but if you ask me, I'll say study it from first aid, because it's very clear and only the important points are written, so you have to remember only them. But if you're studying it from your BRS, they have highlighted the major differentiating points like these, so you have to kind of grab these things, okay? So we are done with the dorsal column system. I just re-explained you this. We have studied it in like slowly in our previous Tuesday class. So now come to this anterolateral system. So the important things are this anterolateral system deals with temperature, pain, and light touch. Okay, so now when I'm talking about temperature and pain and light touch, I'm talking about two fibers. Okay, one fiber for the fast conduction and one fiber for the slow conduction. So light touch is a slow conduction. Okay, so so the fibers for the slow conduction are C. Remember this, the fibers for the fast conductions are A delta. Sorry, A delta. So we have this A alpha, A beta, A gamma, and A delta fibers. So A delta fibers are taking your fast conductions, okay? And the C fibers, A, B, C, the C fibers are the slowest ones, are taking your slow conductions in this anterolateral system. So just write it down in your book. It is not mentioned over here, okay? So group 3 and group 4. So by group 4, we mean C. And by group 3, we mean the A delta and B, but we are not talking about B here because they are written in a different manner. So I'm just making this point really clear and specific, okay, making it discrete. So you have to write it down in your book or somewhere else in your notes. Okay, now what is going on? So anterolateral system will enter the spinal cord and then terminate in the dorsal horn. So again, the same story is going on. That was with dorsal column. Okay, this same story is going on here too. So up till here, this is same. Okay, you can also read it. So you see, from the sensory nerve endings, it bypasses leave this pseudo unipolar, you just reach to the dorsal root ganglion, and then from the dorsal root ganglion you reach to the spinal cord. Okay, and then again it is ipsilateral. So you reach to this first order neuron pathway for the ascending tracts. Both, there are two ascending tracts. Okay, so for these two tracts it is same. Like this is this is for sensory. There are other tracts too in ascending when we talk about, but we'll talk about them later. So here this process is same, but the synapse is different, the second order neuron is different, and then the final signals are also again the same. So here we had this nucleus gracilis and nucleus cutaneous, okay, in the medulla. But here we have this ipsilateral gray matter of the spinal cord. So if I take you to this diagram, this is the diagram, okay. So this was your dorsal root ganglion, and let's say this is your effector organ, okay. So your first order neuron is coming here. It reaches your dorsal root ganglion. From your dorsal root ganglion, it goes to your spinal cord segment. Okay, your spinal cord segment to your gray matter. Okay, let's go back and see it this thing once again. Ipsilateral gray matter. Okay, not at the level of nucleus gracilis or nucleus cutaneous. So make these points clear. See, while talking about this thing, we reach at these two levels. But now we are not talking about this dorsal column. The story of dorsal column is finished. Okay, so just wipe it out from your mind for a little time. We are talking about this ascending tract now. Okay, so where are we reaching? We are reaching at these levels. Okay, we are reaching at these levels. From in here, like if I have to draw it properly, if I have to draw it so proper, then I will use this green color. Okay, let me draw it properly. From the effector organ we reach here, and from here we reach through this nucleuses to this side. Now you should understand what I'm doing. Okay, we go here, this was our spot, and then this was our spot. Or in the lateral, this is our spot, but in the anterior, I go like this, and then this is my spot, and then this is my spot. But we are not entering from in here, we are not entering from in here, we are going from here. Okay, we are entering from this gray matter, dorsal horn of gray matter, not from here. So understand this little concepts. Okay, so if you find it difficult, I can repeat it one more time. We have these two tracts. This orange one is the anterior spinothalamic tract, okay, and this green one is the lateral spinothalamic tract. Okay, why it is lateral? Because see, it is present laterally. This is the anterior part of the spinal cord, this is the posterior part of the spinal cord, and this side is the lateral. Okay, so it is present, this blue thing or this green thing which I've made, is your lateral spinothalamic tract, and this orange one is your anterior, okay? But both of them have to reach at the same spot, that is the dorsal horn or the dorsal column. Not, I will not say column because it will confuse, the dorsal horn of your spinal cord, the gray matter, okay? And same side, like ipsilaterally. We have not touched the other side. We are just moving from one side, okay? So now if I'm clearing this picture, and let me take you back to the page, next page, okay? So now you see, you had this synapse at the ipsilateral gray matter at the level of spinal cord, okay? Now this thing should be cleared, okay? Now, so there's a difference in between these two. Then again, the second order neuron's favorite function is to cross over, decussate. So now it has to decussate again, okay? But it is not decussating at the level of medulla as it was doing there. It is decussating at the same level, but in the anterior white commissure portion. Okay, so now let me take you back to this drawing. Okay, so now let's change the color. Wait. Yeah. So now it's like at the old position. Okay. So so now, now all of them were first order neurons. Okay, we had a synapse at this region at the gray matter, and now the second order neuron will from both of these regions, like separately, like, but I will draw one. Okay, so from here the second order neuron will go to this portion, to the white matter. Don't I'm not pointing at this pink or this gray. I'm just pointing on, I'm just pointing on to the white area. Okay, let's say this is all white. Okay, so I'm just pointing to the white area, so to the white matter. Now it, in the same segment, it is going to the opposite side, like contralaterally. So this fiber is crossing the midline. This is the midline. Okay, now this is the midline. So it is crossing the midline and moving to this another segment, okay? And this is your second order neuron that loves to decussate. So this was the thing that was written in your first stage too, okay? But from here, the same process will occur. If this is a thoracic segment, it will go up to the cervical, and then to the medulla oblongata, and then to the pons, and then to the midbrain. And when it reaches the midbrain, high up from the midbrain, if this is your, again, this is your brain, it will go to the thalamus of the opposite side, like opposite side, because like it has decussate now. So this is right and this is left. So it will reach the left thalamus high up there. Okay. So are you understanding this, this pathway? Please respond in the chat section so that I may know you understand this whole pathway. Okay, very good. Okay, very good. So like two of you have responded. Manzoor, how about you? Please respond so that I may proceed further. Okay, and people, again, that the same thing will happen. This lecture will stop and you have to join again. Okay, because we have to finish the somatosensory page. Tomorrow we will study vision pathway. Okay, so we have to finish this thing today. So you have to join again. We are just reaching our 40-minute time limit. Okay, Manzoor, please respond if you're understanding or not. Okay. So I'm clearing this picture now. And let me take you to here. Okay, so now when I reach here, you see this whole thing is just the same, but and it again reaches to this